2 years from now, I could retire,
Yeah.
but I like what I'm doing. That's the tough part about it. So I like being around the kids. Keeps me young. I'm 56 now. I'll be 57 in May,
Yeah.
a month from now. And what I'm doing, I like being what I'm doing. I like what I'm doing with the guys I'm doing it with. With the kids, with my administration, with the teachers I'm doing, teaching with. It's good.
Yeah.
It's good. So I'm like, geez, if I walk away from this, I might really miss this stuff too. So when you get down on the coaching deal, the same thing. I like coaching.
Yeah.
I'm having a good time with them. And if I walk away from this, I might really, really miss this. And I might go, God, I did it a little bit too early. I shouldn't have retired yet, I think there's some guys out there that retired and that are scratching their heads going, God, why did I let it go? I could have still been doing this thing. Now I miss it like crazy.
Because how many years have you actually been coaching now?
Well, since I was 22, so it's been about 34 years.
34 years.
Yeah. So I was an assistant coach for 3 years, and then I've been a head coach for every place I've been since.
Since then.
Since.
Do you, so you were just talking about, possibly retiring soon, but not sure when. Do you feel like you're at a point right now where you're, I'm getting tired, I'm looking at retirement, or do you feel like you got years and years ahead of you? And you just said it. You love doing it. You're afraid that you don't want to stop doing it.
No, I'm just really, you walk in that room and it's stoked. You're ready to go. It's awesome. And it's not that it's just in the room. You walk out of the wrestling tournament over the weekend and your mind's swimming with your brain thinking, what am I going to do next week? And we gotta make some improvements here and there, and your mind's constantly working. And I'm trying to think of what couldn't we do better next. On Monday we got to start working on this. I can get, and our coaching staff can get these guys so much better by doing this, by doing this, by doing this, by doing this. And so, retirement goes into the situation where it's only age. And when I say that, what I mean by that is this. You get so old, and then you're wondering how many more years you have to live. That's the deal. That's where retirement comes in, is because you just look at it sometimes and you just go, well, you're only going to get, God may only give you so many years to live. And if I stayed coaching till I died, or do I look at it and go, well, maybe that was a good point. Maybe that was a smart move. But the next part is you're going, golly, I could have gone down to Phoenix for a couple months in the middle of December, January and February, and I would get out of the snow and everything else like that. Right. But as I'm down there, what am I thinking about? Still probably be thinking about wrestling. Still probably thinking about, I should have stayed teaching another year or two. Kids keep you alive.
Yeah.
Because kids keep you alive. Being around the younger kids, they'll keep you alive.
Did you always know back, even when you were in high school, could you look back and see that you knew you wanted to coach your whole life? Or when did you kind of know that coaching was going to be your calling? You know what I mean?
I don't, I was a lot like, I think sometimes like Ryan Blease, when Ryan Blease comes home when he comes home, he calls and says, what time's practice? So when I went to UND, when I came to Bismarck, I made my phone calls right away. It was, what time's practice? I enjoyed going in the room all the time. When I came back from Iowa, training that 1 year in Iowa, it was just like, right away, finding out who's working out when, so I can just go to the practice and walk in, and I was enjoying it, at all times. And so when you say that, did I know that I was, coming out of high school, I didn't know where I was going or what I was doing. All I know is I got a phone call to go to BSC. I was being recruited. I'll give you a little bit of money. And I was just like, okay. Because I really enjoyed the sport and I really enjoyed wrestling. So I go to BSC and, now I'm teaching. I had no intention on graduating out of college. And my intention was just go to college and compete in athletics.
Okay.
Well, in athletics, as you compete, you still got to stay eligible.
Right.
And so I just tried to stay eligible. And so as I stayed eligible, then all of a sudden, when I graduated out of, when I finished my last matches and finished my last year of competition, I actually looked at my, grades and thought, geez, I might even graduate. Looks good, looks positive.
Yeah.
Maybe this is even better. And then it was really kicking it into school and that stuff, and then just going, man, if I could do this, that'd be a great deal. Well, I didn't know that I was going to end up being coaching all my life. I think what happened is once I got my first phone call to coach, then it was kind of like, yeah, this is great. Yeah, it's a great deal.
And that was that first phone call?
No, there's from Bismarck State College in 1988.
Okay.
Yeah.
Okay.
So that was my first time. And so that was a huge deal, man. That messed up my head because I was thinking to myself, well, I'll move back to Bismarck because I had a good assistant job at University of North Dakota, and they really we had a real good team up there, and I'm not really sure. And then all of a sudden, I just got to try this because I just wanted to be ahead. I just wanted to try it, just to be ahead.
Okay.
Coach. And so then I did it and enjoyed it, and then just kind of kept progressing from there to there. When in 93, 94, I was at University of North Dakota when I decided to leave the University of North Dakota to be a head coach at the high school level. That was a change because the change was you're not getting to practice and work out with the college kids anymore. You're going to start training high school kids. The bottom line is somebody asked me what's the difference and what, now you're coming from college kids down to high school kids. I said, I'm still taking care of kids. It's kids. It's all about getting kids better at the sport of wrestling and, doing a good job and trying to direct them in the right place, as far as life, life learning lessons and that stuff. I think we all have that responsibility toward it, but it's just the activity of the sport itself. And wrestling in general, it's just fun.
So do you feel like there was times as you got into your coaching career that maybe led you to dive in deeper or made you, you know what I mean? Because when you were coming out of college and getting your first coaching job, at that point were you thinking about how every single day what we need to do tomorrow for the team and what I need to do for my coaching staff? Or was that something that you kind of grew into? Do you know what I mean? Because you went through a few different positions, went college, then down to high school. Was there any point into your coaching career where it almost dialed you in even deeper? Was there things that pulled you in?
I did some, I think in high school and through the sport of sucking man, I think it happened down in Iowa where I seen what you could do, and how much how much they did, and what they did. So it's working out 3 times a day, and training 3 times a day, and getting motivated by, winning, and not only winning but just training and working out. What happens is I think a lot of people have a premonition of trying to be successful, or in other words, what they want to do is they want to be successful, but they don't know how. When I came out of Iowa, I knew how. if I was an architect or I wanted to be an architect,
Mm-hmm.
the best thing I could do is find an extremely good architect to go under. If I'm gonna be,
Yes.
anything you can do, you got to find somebody or some places that are and can be the best, so that you can train under that, because they know what success is all about. And so I fell into it. I mean, when I fell into the thing down in Iowa, and I'm gonna just go down to Iowa and I'm gonna train down in Iowa, I knew that was the best place to train. I didn't know how much that was that was just gonna help me be a better wrestler, but I didn't know it was gonna help me to be, in the long run, a better coach, understanding what you need to do to be a better coach, how hard the kids have to train, how to sell the program, how to sell a kid on, these are the things that you have to do to get better and everything. So that place was, it was a number one teaching of how to wrestle and how to coach
Because at the
in
time,
the country.
Yeah, because at the time, Iowa was number 1 in the nation in Division I wrestling, right? That's when you went down there.
Yeah.
That was the Dan Gable
Yep.
era.
And that was the Dan Gable era. And who was under Dan Gable? Jay Robinson was his assistant coach.
Oh, wow.
Jay Robinson, ends up leaving, going to the University of Minnesota, and just creates a great program.
But there's I think a deeper kind of important thing to bring up on this. When you went down to Iowa, you were how old? You were
20, going to
about
be
20.
21. It's 20.
And a lot of people might not know this, but you went down there and right away lived out of your car.
Yeah.
Didn't you?
Yeah.
When you went down to Iowa for a while, was there somebody telling you that, hey, you should go down to Iowa to train?
No. I read it in a magazine.
Really?
So I got a magazine, and I'm looking at results from wrestling tournaments, and these guys are wrestling for the Hawkeye Wrestling Club.
Mm-hmm.
I did get, in the middle of the summertime, I went down to Iowa to do a little bit of refereeing for Junior Nationals. Junior Nationals was relatively new. It was only about 4 years old at the time.
Okay.
Junior Nationals. And it was in Iowa City.
Okay.
And I went down with the guy from Center, Jerry Mathern. Mathern was his name? And we took a couple wrestlers down there. And as I went down there and refereed, I met Dan Gable. And so I met Dan and talked to him. And he just talked to me really. And he said, what's your plans? And I said, come down here and train. And he said, okay. Mm-hmm. Then when I did show up in August, he was just like, and who are you? And I said, I'm that North Dakota guy who came down to train and everything. And he said, oh, you did come. And I said, well, yeah. And he said, and then it was like, well, do you have insurance? No. And so we called AAU. I got insurance. And then it was like, where are you staying? And I said, I stay in my car down at the park. And he said, we can put you up for a couple weeks, but then you got to get out. And I can only put you up in he had a bunkhouse where he had about 10 bunk beds. And so he put me in a bunk bed.
Oh, wow.
So you still went and got your own food. You had to buy all your own food,
Yeah.
All he did is supply me a bunkhouse, a bunk. And then after about 3 weeks, he said, okay, you're out. You'll find your own place. And I did. And then, I lived in my car a couple days, here and there sometimes. But I was enjoying it.
But there's something important about this that, and you've heard people say, like you mentioned it, if you want to be the best, you got to learn from the best. Mm-hmm. And like you said, if you want to be great at something, like you said, the architect thing, go find the best architect and shadow underneath them. Maybe you even work for free. I mean, right?
Yeah.
Like, if you're going to go train somewhere, you find a way.
Yeah.
Okay, whatever it takes to get yourself down there. But you did that in the 80s.
In the 80s, I felt...
Right?
Yeah. I got lucky. I find out that this was a great club. I went down there. He never ever accepted guys to do this before, and he just said, okay, go ahead and do it. His intent, he did not think I'd stay. He thought I'd be here for a week and then go home. or 2 weeks, and he didn't think that I was going to stay, and then I did stay, and he was pretty shocked by that. Wow. He was really surprised by that. So, but that was I try to tell kids in class, you know, if you're going to do something, find it. You know, if you're going to be in Bismarck, you're young, find a good place and try and tutor under some place that you're interested in, so you could be the best at doing it, you know.
Right.
So, and like I said, at that time, they were the best. They were not only one of the best in the country, they were, you know, the head coaches were the best guy in the world.
Absolutely.
So,
yeah, and I think a lot of people try to just do stuff on their own. You know what I mean? Like they don't, like that's a complete decision to go, hey, right now I'm not the best, I want to be the best, so how do I become the best? They try to just go in their own lane and get there.
Yeah.
Whereas if you go under somebody like that, I mean, that's powerful.
Your model of you need to find, you know, nowadays a kid needs to find the best guy, and he needs to find out the most that he can learn about this guy. And he needs it with video and everything else out there now. They need to watch video, find out what type of the person this guy is. You know, they're idols, they're heroes. Try and get to see if they can go to a camp where he's showing technical skills. Watch his mannerisms. See if he's the good guy that you're talking about.
Right.
See if he's following the same type of disciplines, and when I say that, not only maybe wrestling disciplines, but he's a good person. And some of the best parts about it is if he's a religious person, you know, and finding out the positives of what this guy does, and then all of a sudden, and then coming back and trying to emulate the positive situations that he does.
Yeah.
So, you know, I think that me and you look at it the same way.
We
try to emulate what the best guys do, not what everybody else does.
That's right.
We want to emulate what the best people do, or the best programs do.
That's right.
So,
yeah, that's right. So, and we were talking about earlier when we were upstairs, you were mentioning how, and I want to touch on this, how powerful do you think it is, you know, no matter who you are and what you're doing, how powerful it is, the people that you hang with, the people that you associate with, you know, and the reason why I'm bringing that up is, you know how they say, like, you kind of end up becoming a lot like the people that you spend, out of 5 people in your life, the 5 that you spend the most time with in your life, you end up kind of emulating and kind of being like those people.
Yeah.
How important, you know, through teaching and coaching in your life do you feel like that is? Because I feel like that, you know, I look at that through my life, and there's a lot of things I can pull out of that.
Well, you know, especially for a young kid, when you look at it this way, if I'm a young kid and I'm trying to find, you know, ways to become more successful, the best situation for me would be obviously looking at a guy who maybe likes to lift, like, you know, he likes the wrestling stuff. If we're talking specifically about wrestling, we're talking about enjoys lifting, likes to go to the wrestling room. And the other stuff, that maybe watches video of wrestling on TV. But not only that, but we can have fun. We can go swimming. We can go. There's other things to do. Obviously, movies. Let's go to the movies together. Them guys. But he's got to follow into the same type of situations that we're talking about. I mean, he's got to know the importance of going to the gym. So now let's talk about me being unmotivated. I'm an unmotivated young kid, or not, you know. But he's my buddy. He wants to be my friend and everything. But he always just said, "Hey, I gotta go lift today." And then I want to get into the room and see if anybody's in the room just to roll around with. He's dragging me there because you know what? He's gonna go lift. Hey, I'll go with you. But you hang around with somebody who doesn't like to go lift, and you hang out with somebody that doesn't really care to go back in the wrestling room after the season's over. Well, what are the chances? But you like hanging out with this guy while you're not going to lift, and you're not going to go back in the wrestling room because he doesn't want to do it.
That's right.
So they drag you away instead of dragging you to it. You find people that drag you to what you want to be instead of away from it. So you got to look at your friends. You gotta say, where are you dragging me? Are you dragging me away or to?
And don't you think it is, though, a lot of people, because I know even for me too, like you kind of look at it like, well, they're my friends. You know, like
Yep.
to be able to decipher, to be like, you're good for me, you're not good for me.
Mm-hmm.
That's hard for a kid to do. That's hard for anybody to do, even adults.
Yeah.
To be able to be like, gosh, I've been friends with this guy forever. He's my friend. You know, I can't just not be friends with him.
Yep.
But what if that friend is constantly bringing negative things into your life, but you don't see it, but everybody around you sees it? I mean, don't you think it's just so powerful? I mean, and how do you think somebody is able to do that? To be able to cut people out that are positive or negative in their life?
How do you cut them out? That's the tough thing.
You know what I mean?
It can get tougher to drag away. There's a situation at nighttime. Nighttime gets long. And
Are you saying like after dinner?
yeah, so I enjoy going out, and I enjoy being with friends or family members, or my brother and his wife, and myself and my wife. We always get out there. We never stay longer than 9 or 10, and the reasons why is we know that we can't function in the next day. And so as a but we're older now. As a younger person, when you're 20, 21, 19, 20, 21, 22, let's just say 21, 22, 23. If you stay out, and then all of a sudden it's getting midnight, that's late. You're planning on getting up in the morning and maybe lifting or running or just getting in an activity. And let's just say it's at 8 o'clock.
Okay.
And you're at 12 o'clock at nighttime. That's, you're still going to struggle getting up. Well, and 8 o'clock's late as far as I'm concerned. Early in the morning, that's late.
When do you usually start your days?
I think we're up by 5:45, 6 o'clock in the morning. I mean, it's always that way. If I have early morning practice, then I'm up at 5:15. But it's there's different times there, and I wish I was up even earlier than that because I could get in a good workout before then. Right now I've got little kids wrestling, and so we're working out late after school. But you can't let your friends drag you out late at nighttime just because you're having a good time. You're not going to be successful in getting up early in the morning, getting anything done. You're not going to get schoolwork done. You're not going to get workouts done. Literally speaking. And there's a lot of fun things that can happen till 12. And everybody always thinks even the funner things happen after 12. That's it. That's a myth, because the bottom line is you're not going to get up in the morning. It's not going to it will not be positive for you in the morning. So you got to get out of that mode of staying out until midnight, staying out late. You know what? Spoil yourself one time. Do it. Don't do it for 3 weeks. Spoil yourself one time and stay out until 1.
Right.
Just see how great it is. Fight that urge for three weeks, and then go out one time after that, and you're going to realize it's really not that great. It's really not that great.
Yep.
All right. So, I was training in college, and I remember thinking, we haven't done anything. We haven't gone out in 3-4 weeks. And so tonight I think I'll go out. I'm not going to do anything. Maybe just go out with some buddies. And we went out after we dueled. It was Nebraska, Omaha. And we dueled, and then we went out that nighttime, and we didn't do anything. All I did is watch people. That's all I did. And then when the night was over, it was about 12:30, I went home, and I thought, I missed this? I didn't miss anything. I was so excited to go out, and I just was watching people and thinking, I really didn't miss anything. So you got to get over that feeling, like you're missing all this stuff. Go ahead, spoil yourself, go out, see how it is. And I was out with friends, and we talked, and we had fun, but I didn't miss anything. Why? Because I realized that it was just trying to pull me away from my goals. So it just pulls you away.
How important do you think goals are for people? Because there's a big topic and discussion and discrepancy on goals. Making sure you're not setting goals, too far out, or setting goals, short-term and long-term goals, or should you just wake up every day and just work really hard, and then the goals will just be byproducts later. What's your thought process on having goals and how important you think that is for success?
Well, I'm not sure if I ever wrote, the tough part about that is I'm not sure if I ever wrote down any goals, but there were goals always in the brain. And I always wanted to be the best I could possibly be and national champion and all that other stuff. But I always felt like I had, there's obviously steps to that pattern.
Mm-hmm.
But, first thing, the number one thing that you have to do, and that I think could be the easiest thing for you to do, is outwork the other guy. Outwork. And so that means that working out 2-3 times a day. You can do that. That can be done. Mm-hmm. That's outworking the other guy, because then nobody else does that. They just don't do it. It's too hard to do.
Mm-hmm.
Physically, it's too hard to do. Now, what do? Do you have to go in and you have to work out 2-hour sessions per session, and then you got to put in 6 hours a day? No, you don't have to do that. You can go in and get in there, run 4 miles in the morning.
Mm-hmm.
That should take you so long. That's less than an hour.
Mm-hmm.
Get in and get out.
Mm-hmm.
The hardest part about getting in and getting out is this: getting there, get your stuff out, get your stuff, getting out of bed or doing whatever you need to do. Getting there, get your stuff on as quick as possible, get your workout in, and get done. Shower quickly, leave.
Mm.
That way you're not ruining your time value.
Yeah.
If you're putting in an hour and a half to 2 hours at a workout, that's a long time.
Yeah, it is.
How do you schedule your day when you're already taking 2 hours for the early morning and you're in college? You still got everything.
Mm-hmm.
2 hours in the morning, 2 hours in the afternoon, 2 hours at nighttime or whatever. Make your schedule short.
Right.
Get in and get out. Get in and get out. Get it done with. Work hard now, fast, get done. That'll make you feel better about your workouts.
And don't you think, whether you're a coach or you're an outsider looking in, or, you're a business guy trying to excel and be the best in what line of work you're in, or you're a high school wrestler trying to become a Division I athlete, what do you think separates the people? Because working out twice a day or 3 times a day,
yeah.
That's not the norm. That's the rare. That's the right. That's the
Mm-hmm.
elite. That's the people are like, geez, how did they do that? Mm-hmm. What do you think? What do you think separates, and what do you think? Because we could probably ask a ton of people. You want to be successful, right? Yeah, I want to be really successful. But what do you think it is that the kids and the people in our world that do outwork other people? Where do you think that comes from? Because I know it's in you. I know it's in you. You outwork any coach I've ever been in front of. You outwork anybody I've ever seen in property management, hands down. But why? Because people say, yeah, I want to do this, I want to do that, but then they just don't do it. What do you think that is? What do you think, when you look at those people and people are like, geez, I don't know how they do it. I don't get it. There's obviously something. There's something inside of that person.
Well, there's a sense of commitment, but sometimes you put yourself in that commitment because you committed. And so if you put it on the calendar, it has to be done. If you put it in on, it's like I have to go to the apartment tomorrow because somebody called me and says, hey, something's not working, or can you do this, or something has to happen, or it snowed, so you're going to go over there and you got to shovel snow, or you got to, something like that. That's a thing that has to be done. So it's just a must. And then once you're over there, then you're writing down things and you're working from there. But when there's so many, there's just so many things to do, whether you're in property management, like I should be over at one property just helping this guy clean his place. I should just be over there helping him clean his place. And so I got to set that up. And if I set up a time schedule, that makes me go.
Yeah.
If you don't set up a time schedule, doesn't make you go. So it's an early morning practice. When I say early morning practice starts at 6 o'clock, or we're going to be there at 6 o'clock on this week, we're going Tuesday, Thursday, and next week we're going Tuesday, Thursday. I've set up a schedule. I can't back out. Can't back out. I've already set up a schedule. So if you
But people do.
Yeah.
But people do.
Yeah.
What makes somebody you think show up?
Yeah. Well, I always look at it like if he's going to be there, then I got to be there. I mean, it's kind of like I can't dog anybody. They're going to be there, I got to be there because I can't dog them.
So it's not letting them down type
Yeah,
mentality.
because you know how it feels like when you're letting somebody down. It just squeezes your heart, man. You're just like, man, I can't believe I let him down. And I not only let him down, I let myself down. I let myself down.
Yep.
I let myself down. And so, that's kind of how I see some of that stuff. We got our, my wife, she's amazing. She's a hard working gal. I mean, we at these property places, and when we go over there, she's the last one to leave. And and sometimes I feel like a wimp. I'm just like, isn't it time to go home? Isn't it time to go home? And she said, oh, we got to write down what we got to do tomorrow and everything else like that. No, I'm not a guy who writes down things on paper and that stuff, a list and that stuff. And even though I do write down stuff on a list, I'll lose that list and I'll try and memorize it in my head. My wife's guy, she's got it on a list and that stuff's getting done. So she's amazing by that. And she kind of makes us live through that on the apartments and our responsibilities of what we do. Whether it's with family, whether it's with apartments, whether it's, anything like that. But the wrestling thing, to me, it's kind of, I've always thought about it. I've done it for a long time, so it's kind of we kind of know. You do too. You know it. I mean, you know how it is. You come in, you know exactly what has to happen because you've been around it so long and you've seen, we had successful coaches. Milo was a successful coach. He was very good. We were both fortunate to have him.
Yeah.
And then, I had Gable, you had J-Rob, and you had the Augsburg coach, who was a phenomenal coach. And so we've been around good programs. We've been fortunate to be around good people that have coached us.
Yeah, we have. And, I look at, so there's so many times where I've struggled with getting up or doing that extra work, right? And I can 100% direct my success to my coaches, my parents, my mentors, and my colleagues now, right? And they're all people. I mean, you could essentially say a coach. All of them are coaches, right? You could throw that in there. But it's like this, Jeff. It's that, they guided me every step of the way. So when I look at my friends or people in my life that didn't have wrestling, or didn't really have athletics, or didn't have the Milo, or didn't have the Jeff Schumachers, right? I don't know what I would have done without guys like you and Milo and my dad. Like, that was like almost half of the whole piece of the puzzle for me.
Yeah.
Right? So, like, I like to tell people now, it's like, if you don't have that, go find that.
Yeah.
That's back to your architect thing. If you want to be the best architect, go find the best architect and learn under them. If you don't got a coach, you call it a sport coach or a life coach or, whoever that may be in your life, that you got to have that. And if you don't have that, go find that.
Yeah.
Right?
Yeah, you can find good teachers out there. They're out there. They're out there. And they're willing to help anybody. Them guys are willing to help, and that's why they're successful. Is because it's not because they've been selfish. It's because they've been selfless. They've helped other people, and they like that. That's all part of it. And so, like I said, if you're in town and you can't go somewhere, just at least find who's the best in town that you can work with, and work around. You'll find some amazing people in town.
One of the other biggest things I wanted to talk to you about and ask you about, because it's been a struggle for me, is that how important do you think losses are? And when I say losses, I mean losses could be in like in a match, in a game, in a tournament, right? Or losing someone,
Mm-hmm.
or losses whether you lost a bunch of money.
Mm-hmm.
What's your views and thoughts on losses?
Well, I think sometimes you don't. You know what? As far as activities and stuff like that, you learn nothing except from losses. I mean, you win, you're thinking I should have won.
Mm.
When you lose, you're wondering why I did lose. So anytime you win, you never. Yeah, you can puff out your chest or do whatever you need to and that stuff, but it's the losses. Them are defining moments. They tell you there's weaknesses. There has to be improvement in these areas.
Mm-hmm.
And so, you're definitely going to learn from that. Losses from you can say on finances, you're going to lose. If you're going to lose on finances, you're going to. Let me tell you learn a lot more from losing money than you do from making money. Because losing money, you had no money to lose. I mean, because you're going like, I didn't even have the money to lose, and I lost that money, and that was the dumbest thing. It was amazing. You'll never get over that.
Yeah.
But when you're making money, you expect to make money.
Right.
You expect it. So I think that in them situations, finances and that stuff, you're expected to do that. I think we got in a situation where we lost a son and that stuff. And I always thought it would happen to somebody else. I thought it was never ever them type of things you never ever think would ever happen to yourself. Mm-hmm. And then when they happen to you, you're just thrown into a cycle. And you just don't know. You don't know how to handle it. You never will handle it right. It doesn't really matter how you go about it or how you do it. I'm not sure if I knew how to handle it right or wrong. I think I would say that on our situation, Dreen was much more. She was the coach. She was the teacher. She taught me much more about that than anybody could. She's the smart one on that. There's a godly base there that we have to truly believe in, and the only way we're going to see our little guy again is when we go to heaven, get to see him. That's it.
Yeah.
I mean, it's a defining moment, and we got to make sure that. And so now the big deal is got to make sure I'm going that way, and making sure, Dreen's making sure that she's definitely is. We got to make sure our kids are going that way, and we have to dwell on them positives right now. That's what we have to deal with. And what's happened, it's happened. Now it's just trying to get our family all directed in one way. We're going the right steps.
I've never really asked you much about this topic, and I wasn't sure if you were going to share it or not. And I've not that I've had questions, but I knew how devastating it was for you guys. But do you think, how deeply did it impact you, and how you move forward from that? You know what I mean?
Well, I think as far as deeply impacting me and that stuff, I think, sometimes you have, the marital rate for somebody who loses somebody in a family is like the chances that we stay together are 80%, over 80% against. There's a 20% chance that we'd stay together. Yeah, actually, it's actually less. But we're committed. I mean, and we're committed because, I love my wife and that stuff, and so now to have to figure out how committed she is with me. But so as you go through that, but there's nothing, as we're going through it now, there's nothing else we can do.
Yeah.
I mean, It's the, there is. Let me change that. I guess there is something we can do. We can work. We can look to the future and in where we're going. That's a must. And so that's still the plan. That still has to take action. We have to make sure we're going in the right direction, and that we're taking the right steps for that direction.
Right.
That's the only thing that we can do. We can't do anything else about it.
Yeah.
Were they long days? Were they ridiculous days? Were they? Yeah. It was all of, and plenty more. It was. It's something nobody ever wants to jump in and delve into something like that. It was, as family and friends, it's if I got into it and told you the exact situation of the last days and everything else with Bobby, it jumps on you real quickly, and it gets quite emotional, and you could feel it just how quickly that jumps on you. But so we think that we feel like we got to go in the right direction, and we're going the right direction because I want to see that guy. So
yeah, definitely.
So.
And I was around you during that time, and
Yeah. And you're a great influence.
And I knew Bobby.
Yeah.
And I wasn't sure. I was like, wow, like this could just completely devastate and crush somebody to the point where they just call it quits on life.
Yeah.
They just, right?
Yeah.
And you don't really see him anymore and whatnot. But I saw you and Doreen grow big strength out of it. And you had your other son and daughter and stuff like that. But you guys got stronger, and I saw you guys continue to push. And that's where that came from. So I mean, your losses in your life. I mean, and nowadays. So let's fast forward now to today.
Yeah.
You're still having losses, right?
Yeah.
Whether it's at work or whether it's coaching or whether it's in your family and stuff like that.
Yeah.
Do you feel like you have a mindset that you welcome losses, like you expect them to happen, or how do you take on, when I say losses, how do you take that on in life right now?
Well, you know what? They can't be as big and as bad as any losses that obviously we feel like we've overcame or had to deal with.
Yeah.
Let's say had to deal with. So, I just financial losses you can always try and get back.
Mm-hmm.
You're hoping they're not huge financial losses. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
I think sometimes the direction of losses that can get to you maybe the most are trying to get. Our direction upon our two kids, I think, have to be the most important, and trying to get them to realize what it takes to move in the right direction and keeping them on the right direction. That would be our most important things that we have to deal with. And when they're not maybe moving that direction, I think that bothers. It bothers me, and I think it bothers me and Doreen the most when they're not taking that right direction. So it's still the constant calling and still kind of coaching the kids and going the right direction. So you're constantly trying to swing them. You call them, what are you doing? And what you're really trying to say is are you sure you're doing the right things today? Are you still trying to get in the right patterns? Are you still trying to get things done today? And sometimes, that's what you're really trying to do. But most of the time, what are you doing? You're just trying to talk to them and tell them you're around, you're there. If you need anything, give me a call. How are things going?
Yeah.
So that's the direction, that we're working on. So I don't know. I don't know if you can have any bigger losses than your kids. I mean, we got some wrestling losses, and you look back at that and you go, geez, I could have made some changes. I could have made some changes there. I could have made some changes there, but in the long run, they're only matches. They're only 6 minutes long. They were only small things,
right?
But impacts on your life, and impacts on your kid's life, and impacts on other kids' life. Them are big things.
Yeah.
Them are big things.
Absolutely.
So the chain's off. But I don't know.
So and I'll kind of end with this question. So what's your view and your kind of ideal picture of what success looks like?
Well, I think sometimes success is if, some people, they work 8 to 5 jobs, go home, and they're happy with that lifestyle. I think that's great. I'm glad they can do that.
Yeah.
And no parts in, sometimes we look at activities and we go, why did he even get in this thing? How come I got roped into some of this stuff that I love? Because there's a lot of people that didn't get roped into it, and they're fine. I'm roped into it, and then it's, you get roped into it and you're addicted, to that. Or you would get addicted to being around that enjoyment. But, it's still activity. It's still good for you. It's good for my body and everything. But I don't know. I guess what I see success is if guys are, finances, you got to have a little bit of that. I think religion, you got to have that. I think you have to have. I say you have to have Christianity in your life. You have to have that. I think it's a successful thing that really can help you in the long run. It's great guidance. It's great guidance. And so when I see people with that, with their Christianity with them, they enjoy their work, or they're doing their work every day, whether it's just 8 to 5 and they're moving forward, and they're great parents with their kids and that stuff. I think that can be based on a very successful. That's pretty darn successful.
Absolutely.
You know what I mean?
I do. Yeah.
And I think that them guys still have direction. I think they still go at the right pace. I'm amazed in people. I guess when I look at the other way, though, is I'm amazed in some of the people that can get 20 hours of work in 24 a day, in 24 hours. And there's guys out there. Yeah, they go to the gym, they go to work, they're very productive at work, they get a list of things done here and everything, and they come home and they still get some things done. Them guys amaze me. Now that's on the amazing category. And then they're great parents, they got Christianity, them guys are amazing. Guy sets his alarm, they can get out of bed at 5:30, and get after things, and them guys are amazing.
What do you think that is?
They're just great. I don't know. Just they're driven. It's great driving their mentality and their mental process and their thought process. But I think it's a secret. I think they know how to do it. I think it's a training regimen. I think they know exactly the keys on how to be successful, on how to do that. It's like the guys that you went to college with. These guys that got up at 7:30 and they got up early, they studied for 20 minutes, then they went to school. And you're like, really? What are you, crazy? You're studying before class? We do that after class, or we do that late at nighttime. But they know that if you start at 7:30, then you do a little bit of reading and that stuff, kind of figuring out. And then not only do they do that, but when they're done they go to class till 10 o'clock, and then what do? They come back to the dorm, they do a little bit of reading, maybe sit back, maybe watch a little bit of TV, get something to eat real quickly, but they don't waste so much time with friends or gaming or
they stay structured, they stay diligent on the tasks at hand.
Them guys are amazing. And we did have some guys in college that were so patterned, so good at doing that. And I think that that's what you have to do. I think them guys are amazing people. I think they really got it together. I think they're right on it. And
balance.
And they're balanced. And they still can give you plenty of time as a friend. They still have time for other guys. Them guys amazing. You know, amaze me.
Yeah.
I look at them and go, I don't know. Why I wish I was like that guy. You know what I mean?
Right.
They know how to get 20 hours in a 24-hour day. They know how to do it.
Yeah.
And they do it in 15 hours. You know? So
that's a deep burn for me is that balance. And that's what I strive for every day.
But it's like you said, though, how do you get out of bed? How do you get out of bed? You got to set that alarm across the, across the room.
Yep.
But you got to make sure you don't wake up anybody else. You got to make sure you get up and run over there and turn it off and then sneak it. And then you can't reset it to snooze because you're going to be, then all of a sudden.
What if you forget? Then you're sleeping.
Forget, and then you're waking up. Like, how many times are you going to hit snooze, Yeah. Before you wake up the whole house. And then you're just like, okay, I'm up. I need to. So you got to set them things so that you get up. Now you sit. I like, like what we talk about as friends. The best thing to do is get that thing away from you because that way you're up and you're out of bed. Because if you put it right next to you, it's pretty easy to hit that snooze.
Snooze button's like 6 inches away.
Yeah.
So you stay laying on your pillow.
Yeah, she didn't even hear that.
Right.
To our wives, didn't even hear that.
Right.
Maybe I can wait for them. Maybe she won't hear the first 2 snoozes.
Yeah.
And then you can move on. But them setting up situations like that draw you to getting things done. So like when I know that somebody's going to be in the restroom at 6 a.m. because I set it up the day before, well,
Hold you accountable to do it.
Yeah, it holds me accountable. Me putting my alarm over there.
That's your non-snooze button right there.
Yeah, that holds me accountable because I can't go over there and turn that thing off and hit and come back here and then try and wake up again. I'll never do it without my alarm.
That's right.
And so setting up them type of situations can really help you, I think.
Yeah, I agree.
But early morning, what do you do? Do you know that early morning's going to be your secret?
I do.
Or late night? What's your secret?
It's early morning.
There you go. I think it is too.
But see that goes back to that balance. To me, I was never a morning person. I had to train myself to be. People say, "Oh, I'm not a morning person," or "I'm a night owl." You're that from just. I really truly believe you're that from your upbringing.
Yeah.
You can make yourself a morning person. You can make yourself a night owl, but you got to pick one of them because you got to balance yourself.
Yeah.
See, for me, I had to be a morning person because my fiance Haley said I need you at night. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
So I had to balance. I had to pick. You know what I mean? So morning is how I get ahead of the game, and that's how I get a head start on everybody, and I outwork everybody. And then I work in the normal days like everybody else, but I had a few hours ahead of everybody else every single day. But then at night, that's my balance.
Yeah.
Whereas some people just work all night long.
Yeah.
But then are they balancing their spouse? Are they balancing their friends? Are they balancing, you know what I mean?
Yeah, you can.
And if you lose balance and lose sight of that, you're gonna fall somewhere. So that's where I feel like you win. Is you balance, but you have to find where you're gonna fit it in. You can't just make an excuse and say, "Oh, I'm not a morning person." And I did for years. But as soon as I dialed in and said that I got to be better there, that's when I started to see huge gains.
Well, the other people are going to say, well, your relationship is, okay, but I'm not in a relationship. And you're going, well, sure, you don't have to be in a relationship. But if you still get up later in the daytime, and then you're not in a relationship. So, but the buddies call after 5 because you're not in a relationship. The buddies don't call people that are in a relationship. The buddies call people that aren't in a relationship.
That's it.
Why? Because, well, you're not in a relationship. We can do something. We can go out. We can play golf. We can do all this other stuff. So when you're not in a relationship, now that phone rings even more. And as that phone rings even more, if you didn't get your stuff done by 5 o'clock, your buddies are calling after 5.
Absolutely.
And your chances of getting things done after 5 o'clock trim down.
They do.
So you better get everything done before 5.
Yeah.
And so that's your workout deal. That's why when people always say, well, I just like to go in and work out at nighttime, I always say you're trimming yourself in half. You know why? Because it'll only be half the time you'll get in after 5.
That's it.
Why? Because buddies are calling.
Mm-hmm.
Buddies and friends, and they're going to be
distractions.
Because you're not in a relationship. You're somebody that we can do something with.
That's huge.
And in the way, yeah. So
that's it. Well, I got some questions for you.
Okay.
All right.
Oh,
so
yeah.
these are some random questions.
Mm-hmm.
All right. So, what is your favorite drink that you consume on a weekly basis? If you could pick one.
Well, my favorite.
Your favorite drink.
Any
type of drink.
Any type of drink. I like hot Dr. Pepper.
Really?
Yeah, I put it in a microwave and then heat it up, and then it's still bubbly and everything else like that. I really enjoy it. I could really enjoy that.
I've
I
never
do.
heard of
And so
that.
I'll buy Dr. Pepper and then put it in a microwave for about a minute and a half in a cup, and then drink that.
Hot Dr. Pepper.
Yeah, and I mean, I really enjoy that. I like coffee, regular black coffee, and and you know, I like to have a beer.
Yeah.
Yeah.
But hot Dr. Pepper. That's
Dr. Pepper, that's good stuff.
I like that one. Okay.
Yeah.
What time do you usually go to bed at night?
You know, we're around 11:30, probably about 11:10, about 11 to 11:30.
Okay.
Yeah.
Okay.
It's usually not. We burn the candle a little late.
Okay.
A lot of times.
What's one of the most embarrassing things you've ever done?
Embarrassing, boy. You know, I'm a guy that probably I get embarrassed, or I could get embarrassed quickly, but it doesn't bother me quite as much, you know. I think when I was in high school, I got embarrassed a lot more than other things. I'm not sure if I got really embarrassed when guys made fun of me in front of girls when I was in high school.
Okay.
You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Now I think it's funny, but in high school I really got embarrassed.
It bothered you more.
Bothered me. Yeah, it really bothered me.
In front of
But
girls.
Yeah, in front of girls and that stuff. It really bothered me. But
That's a good one.
now it doesn't. Now I laugh at myself. You know, back then you didn't laugh at yourself. Now I laugh at myself.
Okay.
You're right.
That's a good one.
You know.
That's a good one.
Yeah.
Do you know what type of brand of socks you wear?
Any. Absolutely any socks. A lot of times they don't match. They don't even match. But the ones that I have on are Walmart, most likely, and they're yeah.
But whatever, if they mismatch, they put them on.
Small things that don't bother me. I guess if I'm going to a wedding, that would be the big time where I really make sure that they're lined up.
They're the same.
They're the same. But besides that, you know, I just I don't know. That doesn't bother me.
Do you feel like a hot dog is a sandwich?
For sure. For sure. It is. It is very much so. Love hot dogs. Cloverdale's got great hot dogs.
I agree. What is your favorite wrestling move of all time? You can only pick one. There's a lot of moves. Yeah. But if you had to pick one wrestling move that was maybe like your favorite.
My favorite. I like I think everybody kind of likes the saltos.
Okay.
You know, suplex. I think everybody kind of likes to throw it. If you could get videoed hitting a saltos on somebody and you see it, on video, you'd be like, that was awesome.
Right.
You know, they have other ones. I like the Sobolov roll. It's a kind of a different one. Nobody really knows what it is.
One,
but there's a Sobolov roll and that stuff. But I think a saltos, when you see yourself on video throwing a saltos on somebody,
it's really
or
cool.
a suplex, it's pretty, man, there's not enough people that you can get in to watch yourself do it.
Right.
You know, you'd be bragging a lot.
Yeah, right. So if states were named and represented after a food, so instead of naming all the states a name, and North Dakota was named as a food name, what food do you think North Dakota would be?
I was gonna say cheese, but that's Wisconsin. What would North Dakota be? You know, it'd have to be bread. It would just have to be bread. We're sandwiched with between, we're kind
dumplings.
of like a sandwich.
Yeah.
It just has to be anything wheat based. So I would say it's bread based. It'd have to be bread.
Yeah.
So, but what sandwich would it? If you're talking about what sandwich would it be, I would almost have to say it'd have to be a hamburger then.
Right.
You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Because the beef.
There you go.
Dakota.
Yeah.
So.
What's one of the craziest coaching stories, real quick, that you've had in your lifetime, do you think would be?
Oh boy, the craziest coaching stories. I'm trying
One
to figure out some of the wildest.
One story that might stick out that was a wild.
Some kid told me one time I came to wrestling, but I was teaching my first year, and when I was teaching my first year, I came into the wrestling room, and I had this kid in my class, and he was a young kid, and when I came into the practice room, I had lead tards on, and I had socks, and I was putting on my socks, and they were pink.
Mm-hmm. Okay.
They were really white. But what happened is we washed them with reds, and then I washed them with reds, so they were pink. And and as I was coaching the first 3 or 4 days, the kid finally told me after the first month, he said, I really, really, I had you as a teacher, and you weren't that impressive as a teacher at the time, he said. And then you came in the wrestling room, and you're wearing this weird, pink socks, and you got leotards on, and he said, you look like some goon off the, just goon. And he said, and then you start coaching. And then after we were watching, we thought, I never, ever would have picked out you'd have been, smart enough to be a coach, good enough coach, or anything else like that. What amazed me was that how sharp you were on that, But so it's always stuck to me because I never ever thought, what I'm wearing to practice is gonna, some guys come to practice, they got the nice garb on, and they look great. They look like they got everything together.
Mm-hmm.
I guess I never was worried about that. I got to worry about that a little bit more. I need to bring the garb so that everybody thinks I look good first, and then I got to be good. You know what I mean?
Yep.
And so I like that. The other guys is when a kid comes in the wrestling room with tennies, watch out. He might be good. You know what I mean? It's kind of funny watching the really tough kids with tennies on, kicking the crap out of the ones with wrestling shoes. That's fun to watch.
Yes, I agree. I agree. So I got one more question for you. If you could be invisible for one day, where would you go and what would you do?
Invisible for one day. I think, I think everybody kind of wonders two situations. Right now, I could say two. Go out to Penn State and wonder what's in that room, how it's handled. And then for me, it's, I got a little bit of thought process of what's going on overseas. So I'd like to see what they're doing in Dagestan, in the wrestling room in Dagestan, and what they're doing, to make them guys what they are in wrestling and that stuff. So Dagestan, Russia.
Okay.
They have an incredible club over there, and then Penn State wondering how what's he saying to his athletes It's the same old deal. You're wondering what the best is saying.
That's it.
You're looking for what the best people are doing, and you'd like to see how they're doing it.
That's it.
And so that's,
Okay.
that's definitely the
Russia
places
and Penn
I've ever-
State. Those
Russia
are good.
and Penn State. Yeah.
Those are good.
Yeah, right now.
Nice.
I've been down to Oklahoma State. They're the best too. They're good.
Mhm.
But and it was great
Mhm.
visit down there. Now it'd
Yep.
be nice to see Penn State, what he's doing.
Oh, those are good. Those are good answers.
Yeah,
All right.
it could be all right.
You got some questions for me?
You know, I was going to say, I had a couple of questions, but one of the questions was this, okay, let's just say, if you had to do it over again, what would you change? As far as, if you had to do it over again, what would you do? You're coming out of high school, you're extremely successful, you're beating on a lot of guys. What would you do different?
So
Where would you go? What would you do?
So are you saying that's a good question. So are you saying if I could redo high school and college, what would I do different?
Yeah.
Like kind of pool it into, not try to get into a long
Yeah.
conversation about it, but
Yeah,
what would I do different?
yeah,
I would focus way more and study how to do a better job at controlling my mind and dialing in mentally. If I could do it over again, the technique was there, the strength was there, the speed was there, the moves were there, the family backing was there,
yeah,
coaches were there. I would have focused way more on the mental aspect of how to be successful in those really tough situations. When it was, when it really counted. I would be like a nerd about it. I'd be weird. I would try the most probably oddball stuff to either be able to break myself and to build up mentally, or study little techniques that could help me if something was happening and it was going wrong, how I could quick gain myself mentally.
yeah.
Because every single day and every year of my life now, more and more, it gets way and more prevalent and just that it's all about up here.
Yeah.
That's what I would do different. I didn't focus on that enough.
Yeah, the mental aspect is a huge deal. I like that. That's really good. So, the other process is so as you go from Augsburg across, and you went into Augsburg. Great move. Did you really? It was.
Was it a great move?
Yeah.
Yeah, and here's why. Some people could have looked at, you left the University of Minnesota and went down to Augsburg, and some people could have looked at that as, a step down, or it didn't work, so now he had to change it up. It wasn't, because to me, it was all about the right fit, and I found the right fit. So making the move to Augsburg was literally a personality, a temperament. It was a heart match. The way that they run their program, the way that they take care of their people, and the way that they focus on family, faith, and wrestling. Family first, faith second, wrestling third. And they focus on building successful men outside of the mat, outside of the competition, but in all avenues, right? And that was that'd be one thing too that I really have a passion for, is that life is not about doing a job because people think it's cool and you should do it because then you'll make a bunch of money, or going to a program because you feel like they might be the best. Going to a program or going into a job or going into a relationship with somebody because it's the right fit mentally and spiritually. Because that's when you get that amazing combination. That's when like I like to say, that's when magic happens. When you're at the right place.
When you're at the right place, yeah, and
that's where growth comes.
Can you find? Okay, here's a big one. Can you find success at almost any program. In other words, when you go there and you get put in a place where maybe you realize a defining situation of maybe this was not the place that I should be at, but how do you figure that out? How do you figure out, okay, so do you stay at some places, or do you all of a sudden just say, I need to find the positives of this place and look at the positives?
So you're saying,
because
like,
sometimes you can,
yeah,
maybe, but sometimes you can't.
So I think what you're asking is do you feel like you can turn any situation that you're in, like, or any program that you're in, and flip it around and make it a positive situation?
And make it a positive.
Or
yes.
should you cut your losses and go somewhere that's better fitted for you? Is that what you're wondering? That was your question, is?
Yeah.
Basically?
Yeah.
See, that's kind of complicated. I think both. I think deep down in your heart, you'll know if that's the right place or not, and you should always be listening to your heart. And if you know in your heart that it's not the right place, I feel like you do need to find where that right place is.
Yeah.
I really do. But there is something to be said that if your heart's in the right place, and you are at the right place, whether it's the right program, right job, right relationship, but you're not right up here. You're not in the right mindset. You're thinking negative thoughts. You're hanging out with the wrong people, and you're truly the one screwing everything up. It's you. It's not the place that you're at. It's you. But you're blaming it on everybody around you. There's something to be said about that, and that's where I think having the right mindset is probably the most crucial thing any human on this planet can have. If you have the right mindset, you'll know if you're at the right place or not. If you don't have the right mindset, you're lost, and you need to find that. Yeah.
Okay. Now, here's one. If you were a dog, what type of dog would you be?
Well, the dogs I have now, I'd be a pit bull.
And why? I figured. But and why?
Oh man, I would be a pit bull because, and I have pit bulls because I feel like pit bulls kind of resemble me, just in a dog form, right? They are built like physically. They're built for all different types of terrain, all different types of activity. They're built with the muscle and the power and the strength, right, to be able to withstand and to endure a lot of physical activity and be able to get pushed to the limit. And they also are built with very, very deep, passionate willingness to love on people and to help people and to be there for their owner, right? So the biggest thing in a pit bull is that is honestly their loyalty and their passion for their people and their pack, and I feel like I instill that as well. So that's why it was an easy.
Yeah, I mean, you had your
bull,
chance because your parents had a different. They had different dogs.
Oh yeah, yep.
And they weren't pit bulls.
No.
Nope. So you made your pick according to what lined you up.
Yep.
And so I can definitely see that.
Yeah.
Okay, so if you had a chance to live anywhere, where would you live? Because a lot of times you could say North Dakota because I'm here in North Dakota, and obviously.
No, I'll tell you, that's an easy pick.
Like that.
Denver.
Okay. So,
Denver.
And why Denver?
I think Denver has a beautiful, perfect balance of activity, music, lifestyle, food, and it's not so big, but it's not so small. It's honestly, when I think of Denver, I think its nickname should be called the perfect balance. I really do. So Denver.
Yeah, beautiful snow.
Okay, one more question.
Okay, I just had one too, and that stuff. I was thinking. Oh, weight class and size.
Okay.
Size. What would be the perfect size for you and perfect weight class for you? And that's for you. If you could be any size any weight, anything as far as that is, are you at the perfect size and the perfect weight? Or would you say, I would, rather be this, I'd rather be a heavy. I wish I would have been able to be a heavyweight. I wish I'd have had to been, okay.
And are you asking like right now today if I could be a different size, or are you saying back when I was competing? What do you mean?
As you look at it now,
Okay.
from the backside. Because you're here, you got to look back.
True. I liked always being like the lightest guy.
You did.
I did.
Okay.
Because I felt like I had a lot more to prove.
Mm-hmm.
And some of the bigger guys would pick on the littler guys.
Yep.
And I like that.
Yeah.
I like being the littler guy.
Yeah.
So I would say in college, the lightest weight class. In high school, close to the littlest weight class.
Yeah.
I like that. I liked having that aspect.
Yeah.
So it kind of fit me.
Yeah, no, I
You know what I mean?
could definitely see that.
Yeah.
In college, I wrestled anywhere from 118 to 150, so I ran a little bit of the gamut and that stuff, so I could change it, and so that's interesting. You know, if you would have stayed and chose the smaller weight class,
I would have chose. Yeah, I think if I had to do it back, I'd do that all again.
Mm-hmm.
Well, thanks for being on.
Appreciate
it.
Yes, thank you.
Yeah.
It's been fun.
Yeah, it has been.